Coming at you from a couple of stools in the low class studios. What's up, guys? This is a feminist and a comedian walk into a bar. I'm Jackie Mancy. I'm your host this week. The matriarchy is back, better than ever. Uh, tonight I'm sipping on, I guess, some kombucha. Have you ever had kombucha tea, Justin?
I
Mm.
know of it, but I've never had it. I'm always in the market for new drinks. I love a good
Do you want to
drink.
try this?
Is it gross though? You sip it first. I've heard some people love it and some people say it just tastes like absolute grossest thing.
I love it.
Is this your first time having it or
No,
no?
I've had it before. I
Let
love
me.
kombucha. It kind of smells. Well, let me just vinegary, and it smells like a sock, a dirty sock that's been sitting in the closet for a little while. But I think it's so good. No,
It's intense.
it's like
It's intense.
sour. I like it.
I know
Although I
people
would
that
only
swear
drink
by
like
it.
one. I mean, I haven't had a kombucha in like
It's just
years.
not. You know what I want out of a drink? I just want something like. I don't know. I didn't really even think about this adjective until I tasted kombucha. I just want something calming. That's so aggressive.
Oh, I love it. I love that it's
That's
like
why I like Tecate light. That's why I like just
fermented.
a
It's got
good.
bubbles. It's got. I
But that's
mean,
why I just like a
everything. I love
good
it.
domestic beer.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz it's like how can you
There's a
drink an
simple man.
IPA and relax? It's so
Yeah,
harsh
IPAs are
on your
gross.
taste buds. It's so alcoholic.
Do you not like
It's so heavy. It's like I just want
like
to sip.
like stouts or dark beer? You know, Guinness. Those sort
Stouts
of.
are for sure better.
Mhm.
Um but that's why it's like I want a watery as fuck, refreshingly, sparkly as fuck. Just
Yeah.
Tecate Light, Miller Light. If I'm looking to get like a little more slosh, yeah, give me a High Life. Give me something non-light. Give me an old style. We're in Chicago, baby.
So this kombucha is like the IPA of juices.
Yeah, it's too much. It's like so aggressive. Drinking
Mm.
just feels such like a relaxing thing. It's either replenishing, like water, like you're tired, give me some water.
Yeah.
But even that, so I wouldn't say it's relaxing, but it's comforting. Like, oh, I'm so like being thirsty is kind of like an anxiety thing. Like I'm thirsty. Oh, I need some water, and then you get that
Yeah.
water, and
I
you're like,
think
oh,
though. I think
that's just so
this.
aggressive.
I think the bite of it quenches my thirst.
Well, intro me because I that'll tie into my drink.
As with me as always, the handsome Justin Golak,
What?
comedian
Only half of our audience
extraordinaire.
knows that.
That
I don't.
you're
Do you think my
handsome or
voice?
that.
Well, because half's video, half's
Ah.
audio.
Yeah,
Do
it is
people know you can
funny.
watch this on video?
You guys, check us out on YouTube.
YouTube.com. Justin Golak, my YouTube channel. You can watch
Yeah,
us
you can watch
live.
it. You see what we
Mostly,
look like.
99% of the time Sundays. Sometimes we have to record a different day.
But they're always up there. So
Yeah, they
even if you're
stay
listening to
up.
this on Thursday,
We have
you
like
can go check it
through
out.
episode like 35, that far back.
Hmm.
We have video of it. So, anyways, yeah, give me a nice watery, refreshing, ice cold
What are you drinking today?
beer in the summer to
Are you
sip.
drinking something
And the
calming?
same thing, like I could do a stout. I do like a stouter
I mean,
porter.
you're not drinking kombucha though to quench your thirst. It's like, yeah,
But
you drink it when you're thirsty,
I'm
but
not
it's like for the health benefits.
But that's what I'm saying. But like, just give me some orange juice then, or like a
I don't know though.
one of
You
those
drink like
nature
protein
things.
shakes as like
That's more of
health
a
stuff.
meal. It's like a meal replace. I'm
Oh.
saying so when I want to relax, I want that. You relax different in the winter. It's cold, usually inside, not outside. You
Mm.
want different things, but I want the same. So yeah, I'll drink a stouter porter. But you know what's better? You know what's the Tecate Light of fucking fall winter,
What?
which is why I picked this drink. I've drank it on here before, but it seemed apropos time to bring it back. A little bit of whiskey, baby. This is Scotch whiskey. This is my Dewar's 18, or is it 12? I think it's Dewar's 18. I don't think there is a Dewar's 12. It's the
1812.
cheapest Dewar's, but even the cheapest one is really high quality.
Yeah.
Aged for a while. Like I said, I think it's not very smoky. I don't like a Scotch that's too smoky. Some people love it. I'm like, this tastes like rubbing alcohol. I like it like those caramel / buttery notes. That's why I usually like a Jameson, but if I do Scotch, I do this Dewar's. And because here's what you gotta do. You don't have to suck down 2 fucking IPAs or feel like you ate a loaf of bread having a stout. You just you throw on your favorite thing. You put on the fake electric fireplace, right? You got
Yeah.
that fake electric fireplace.
Oh, we got one of those.
Want some blue flames? Fuck yeah, I want some blue flames. This is the future, isn't it, motherfuckers? I want some blue flames. I want, something good on the TV. Let's watch episode 5 of Vietnam. And what do I want to do? Just every 10 minutes, I want to do this. Mm.
We've been watching some heavy stuff.
Yeah, I want to
Mindhunter,
sip,
Vietnam.
and then
Some good,
you sip.
some good whiskey
A
shows.
sip of good whiskey lasts 10 minutes. It's like when you eat weed. You know, you gotta wait 45 minutes.
Yeah.
That's that first sip burns the back of my tongue, but because of the ice,
Yeah.
goes down cool in the back of my throat, slides down to your belly. Feel about the same now, but I feel like the warmth coming out. I feel warmness from my tummy radiating out throughout my body. Feel like I'm getting a little happier, a little sleepier. Just a better person, or a more punchy person. If you become more punchy, don't drink whiskey. It goes one way or the other. If you want to start punching your loved ones, don't do whiskey.
I'm a punchy drunk.
That's why you stopped. That's
Yeah.
why you're on the booch. That does have a little booze in it, though.
I know. Maybe that's why I like it.
Because some people
But-
would consider that cheating, right? It's kind of like, I feel like alcoholics are kind of like vegans, right? Some
Yeah,
go more
can't-
hardcore than others.
No, I guess I think let me go in depth in that. I think alcoholism lives on a scale, and I'm on one end of it, which is pretty light.
So
you know what I mean?
you can
Like
handle
we have
kombucha.
a whole bar over here,
Fuck
and
yeah,
I
we do.
never want to drink that alcohol.
That's 'cause you
like
hate
I've
whiskey.
quit.
Luckily, we
No,
just
no,
have
no.
different tastes.
No, that's not true at all. If
I
you're
guess
an
there is some-
alcoholic, that would be fucking gone.
That's
A
true.
week into
If
us
you were just
living
like
together.
a straight,
Yeah, like it's
straight,
not.
you just one of those
It's
mouthwash
not like
drinking
a physical
alcoholics.
illness for me. I think that it's like I abuse it. I'm compulsive, and as soon as I start drinking,
Can't stop.
then I drink it all. Once
pop,
I
you
got
can't
started.
stop.
So I think that drinking a little bit in a kombucha.
We'll call
is
you
fine.
a Frito-Lay's alcoholic.
Like I'll eat Oreos all day and
Can't
call
just
myself a vegan.
No, can't just can't have one.
Oh, that's Pringles.
Pringles is once you pop, can't stop.
Frito Lay's is not
Can't
Frito
have-
Lay's. It's just Lay's.
Yeah, but I was,
Oh, Fritos are like the
but
crunchy.
Frito-Lay's is the company. They make Fritos
Oh,
and
okay.
Lay's.
You were thinking big picture.
Yeah, I was like if you got
Branding.
commissioned to write that slogan, you'd be working for Frito-Lay's, not for Lay's. I was trying to speak your ad
Speaking
speak.
of slogan, yeah, like ad speak.
It is funny that chips kind of like have one campaign, no matter the brand. They just phrase it different. But the whole premise of chips
Once you
is
pop, because that. Well, that's. I mean, yeah. That's
once you eat one, you must eat more. So, and that is what all
our
chip
new
ads
chip.
will be. And then
well,
just
I mean,
put in buzzwords as you see fit.
that's sort of good best practices for branding. You have a brand
All right, well,
narrative,
don't,
and then you
don't
each
nerd
of your
this.
sub
Please
brands.
do not nerd
Yeah.
this.
Well, I wanted to say they have their Oh, there is alcohol.
Yeah.
I know,
It's
but
like less than a percent,
but it's
though,
a
I
little.
think, right?
It's just funny. Do not consume if you're avoiding alcohol due to pregnancy, allergies, sensitivities, or religious beliefs.
Because it's, what do you want to call it? What's the word? It's like fermented.
Yeah.
But yeah, see, dude, I'm feeling good already. And I'm going to get this down.
Oh, what I was gonna
I'm going to
say.
slowly get this down throughout the episode. I'm going to feel great. I'm
Mhm.
not feel like I ate a loaf of bread. I'm going to feel warm and cozy and happy. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to feel so great I forget that
this-
the weather is so dog shit outside, and it will be for another 6
I
months.
know, 6 months.
That's what whiskey's for, to
This
forget
brand
the weather.
slogan is "Love is our number one ingredient," which let me just say is like the new "Once you pop, you can't stop."
That's like the
it's
airplane
so
food of
dumb.
ads, right?
Yeah,
Made with
that's what I mean.
love.
It's like our number one ingredient, especially now when I think like brands are starting to sort of commodify caring, right? And like
Caring's the new love.
empathy, and like we know life's hard for you, and that's whatever.
What's the
It's just
brand?
like,
What's the brand?
oh, GT's Synergy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. There's
GT
like
kombucha,
there's
the
five other
kombucha
companies
that
using-
cares.
There's 5 other companies with love.
Kombucha that
As its number-
cares.
Everyone's using love as their number one ingredient. Why isn't the world better? All right, you guys.
You know
so
what the number one ingredient really is? Cum.
kombucha. Well, that's like they say that
There's cum in
kombucha.
kombucha?
No, but it sort of is like the moonshine of tea, where like
tea.
people make it in their bathtubs, and like even this one, they're like, we make it in small batches, like I did in my mother's sink when I first started making it. That's why they're like, don't really,
Yeah, because
don't like drink it just from like a guy who made it, because like
isn't that like
people have like died from it.
because isn't that
like,
yeah? Because
contaminated?
I know some guy that's posting on Facebook. You want to start making his own kombucha.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
kinda,
What do you need? You need like some
Oh, I have no
starter
idea.
thing because he's like,
More
I'm
like
looking
a
for
culture.
yeah, but it's called I don't know. He's just like I'm looking for this whatever word it was
Well.
to start my own kombucha.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I was like,
You need dreadlocks and a bathtub and a culture.
whoa, no, that's the DMT bathtub, the other bathtub. I just picture every hippie has like 6 bathtubs with a different thing going at all
each
times.
one.
It's the DMT
But
bathtub.
then-
That's the
but it's
GHB
never
bathtub.
for themselves to bathe.
No, no, exactly. That's why they can't bathe. They're making drugs in all
Yeah.
the bathtubs. All right, let's get into this.
Oh, that's funny. Wait, so first, since I'm the host, give me
If
a
we don't
second.
pace this out over the time
I
I
know we're just
allotted, I'm gonna get too drunk. Again, it's like eating weed.
Yeah,
I gotta
10
pace
minutes
off. I gotta
with
pace out
with
this
your
whiskey.
sip. Well, let me just say, you guys, go give us a subscribe right now. Put it on pause. Put us on put us on
Oh
pause.
yeah, we did
Pause?
forget to do
Yeah.
the early
Well, hey, here I
the
am
early plugs last
remembering.
week, and that was me.
I know, but here I
I
am
Jackie'd it.
remembering. It's Justin.
J.K. Rowlings, go.
Um, you can hit us up on any podcast platform you subscribe on or that you use. Subscribing helps people find us, helps us get higher in the rankings when people search for us and in our terms. So it definitely helps out. And, give us a review. Tell us what you think. You can also go to patreon.com/LOclass.
No
No
dash.
dash. And you guys, this is where you can sign up to become a patron of Low Class and all the work that we do. As low as $1 a month, it helps us afford this shit, right?
Do you want to do? I'm totally putting you on the spot because I
Yeah.
know a lot of this stuff seems rehearsed. Do you want to do a bonus ep in November?
Yeah.
We're not supposed to have our first ones till 2018, but
Just to give you an idea of what for the
you know what
for
I
the
want to
patrons we
do? I want to
have.
do we'll just do like a little half hour or so, which will end up being 3 hours the way we do. So, let's do a movie review, Birth of a Nation,
Oh yeah, sure.
and
Okay.
I'll clip out us talking about that topic, and I'll post
Perfect.
that.
Mhm.
I'll post that maybe I don't know on YouTube or something. Like
Yeah.
I'll post it where people can re-find it easily, just that portion. Like a few days before, and then we'll do a review. Because the funny thing, we were talking about like stuff surrounding the movie, so we didn't have to see it. But it was funny. I just feel like I remember multiple times throughout that topic where like, now we haven't seen the movie yet, so but we kind of talked like we
Right.
should see it. So
Yeah.
let's watch it
It's
and
a
do a
great
movie
idea.
review sometime in November. So you got a couple weeks. Subscribe for $1. We'll be doing that's what's great about Patreon. You set rewards, you set goals.
Yeah.
So rewards is if you do $1, you get bonus episodes, minimum of 6 next year.
Yeah.
And like you said,
So you can access
you're already
them.
getting one in November. So you'll have 7 total starting now. But also, I don't remember what I set it at, but I believe if we get 100 subscribers,
100.
so you get rewards, but then you have goals. So our goal, if we get 100 subscribers, we're bumping that up to 12 bonus episodes.
Yeah.
Throughout 2018.
If we hit
So
that goal.
subscribe, get your friends to subscribe just for $1.
Yeah.
And you could get 12 episodes. And that's like, we just say 12 bonus podcast episodes. So you might get a bonus episode of this, get a bonus episode of Mildly Depressed, get a bonus episode of my podcast, or just maybe just some form, it can be our movie review thing. That's not really part of the format, but I think we'll put it under this wing because it'll be me and you talking about it. But it's just like, you can get a ton of content for $1 because you're going to get this plus the 6. But if you get a couple friends on board and they get some friends, you get 12. And I'm sure as the years go on, we'll keep bumping that. And there's things where you can give a couple more bucks, get some merch. We're already someone plop on at the highest level. They got a painting just like that one behind me, or it's not painting, embroidered piece of artwork, just like that. So
yeah, like on mildlydepressed.com.
yeah. So yeah, sorry to
just for you.
hop in, but it's
no,
just
super helpful. Thanks. I think that's a great idea.
I think it'll be
love
fun.
That.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And as always, guys, go to lo-class.com to see all of our content from all those channels we were just talking about. Good stuff.
And FemComPod.com. Did you say that? There's too much. You could have just went to the other two things.
And like FemComPod.com is where you can listen to all of our
But
past episodes.
you know what I was does anyone go? Do you ever go to like a podcast's website?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I usually I have an app. That's why I always just plug. I like to plug it because we have it. We're paying for the domain name. We should plug it. But yeah, I think it's just easier. We're even on Laughable. We're on Laughable, which is like a new iPhone app for comedy pod. So we're kind of everywhere. So just whatever you use to listen to podcasts, you probably plug us in. You just find us there. Like I said, I think FemComPod's good because you can listen to the episodes on your desktop. If you're at work, you listen through a computer. That's good. But also we have an RSS feed, so you plug that in to your podcast app if you can't find us. But
cool.
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to overplug on top of your plug. I was actually more
You're plugging into my plug.
I just more talked out loud. I'm sorry, I'm getting
Find
sweaty and talky. That whiskey's taking control. This is going to be a fun episode.
All right, let's go into it. Topic 1.
Yeah.
All right, so, hey, have you heard of Matt Taibbi?
Yeah, I've heard, he was always on, he would come on Real Time a lot.
Oh, okay.
As a panelist or that mid-show interview guy.
Yep.
He's the one, no, that's how I found. This wasn't him, but I also found out about Jeremy Scahill that way.
Oh, through Bill
I always
Maher.
liked him, Taibbi Scahill, and who's the gay guy? Dan Savage.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they're always like hip young writer boys
Yeah.
writing books, publishing big
Well, that's
articles, and then
yeah.
being guests on TV.
So Matt Taibbi is like a rock star in journalism. He's
Does
like
he write for Rolling Stone?
Rolling
Right?
Stone is his big. Yeah, that's who he works for basically. But he's
Yeah.
but his books are also very are part of what have made him famous, right? Like he's a big investigative journalist. Great work, great reporting. You know, I followed him for years. He's an icon. Well, he.
Oh no.
Sigh. Womp womp. Well, he has a book that just came out that I have on loan from the library. It's called
Classic Manti.
I Can't Breathe. And it's about Eric Garner and his murder by the New York Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
And
Alleged murder.
fuck no, there's a fucking video. Murder.
Was not convicted.
uh,
But isn't that funny though?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the coroner ruled it a
Funny.
homicide, but
yeah, but the guy
is not convicted of murder.
Well, I mean, who did they charge? Who was sitting on him, or the person who had him in a chokehold?
I think the chokehold guy.
Yeah.
But isn't that just weird? You're basically like, this guy was murdered, but the guy that murdered him didn't murder him.
I mean, is there a difference between like would the coroner say like accidental homicide, or is that manslaughter, or like is that or just an accident? I don't know.
I guess it's just funny because it's like he was like scientifically he was murdered.
Murdered, yes.
Legally he was not murdered.
Not murdered. Yeah, that's so crazy. Like living in that limbo.
All right, but that is not the topic.
Yeah, but so I've been really looking forward to this book because Matt just he what was his name of his book that came out earlier this year about Trump, like Insane Clown President. Yes. But he just is a great reporter. So I'm really looking forward to reading about Eric Garner's life and sort of, I don't know, we listened to an interview with him and just this great background about Eric Garner's, just like that he had been a member of the community who, like, he had just stopped a fight, and like that was part of his like volunteer job,
Well,
was
that's
like
what
stop fights so that the cops wouldn't come
I
and
did
show
the
up.
Justin version of reading this book, which was to listen to his Fresh
His
Air
interview?
and be like, all right, I think I got it.
Yeah,
I got the big tent posts.
it was great. So did they ask about this? Okay, so
No. Yeah, get into the thing.
so Chicago Reader
This is the main topic.
wrote an article on last week's issue basically, and so Matt Taibbi was coming to Chicago this weekend for the Humanities Fest, which shout out was awesome. But the Reader covered his appearance by writing about a book that he co-wrote in I think 1999. But during his time in Russia, where they chronicled their time working in like creating this satirical newspaper, or like it was an English newspaper, right? But in their book, which they say is satire, but then they also called it nonfiction in the intro, they basically just have these really troubling passages about there's like statutory rape in there. There's stories of them.
What's the book about? It's just supposed to be
life
like
and
a
sex, drugs, and life in Russia, basically.
Was that the title of it?
Yeah,
Oh,
exile,
okay.
life, sex, and exile, sex, drugs, and libel in the New Russia. So it's about how they chronicled how they created their biweekly tabloid, The Exile, and chased down their biggest stories. So there have been passages pulled out where they're talking about.
So was it a satirical magazine they worked on, or like a tabloid, like a
I'm
National
not sure.
Enquirer?
No, I think it's just news. I think it's. Here's the thing. I think that book was supposed to be about Americans and how Americans would go to Russia and just have privilege, basically, and like assume, they'd sort of run amok in Russia because it's not their country, and like there's just so much fucked up things happening in Russia. Anyway, for example, the gender roles and women's role in that culture and them sort of taking advantage of it, which if you know that sort of history, like that makes sense, I guess, if they're writing these really terrible stories about how they treated women and what they expected from women there and how they sexually harassed their coworkers. And it's just really extreme. It seems like a joke, but because they say it's nonfiction it sort of has been this uproar of like they're misogynists, they sexually harassed people, they like
But was there any talk about this 18 years ago?
no.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm just curious, like I just want to talk about sort of, how we separate art from artists, right? And like I think we've had to do that. I mean, especially I think Bill Cosby on. Well, I don't know though. Michael Jackson on. There's just there's this
I think
a
everyone
chasm
on.
of like who a person is as a person
I
and
don't
who
think
they are
it's
as an
ever been a
artist.
thing where you've. I think you've always
Where
had to
we've just
separate the art from the artist.
mm,
Just what is deemed socially inappropriate
mm-hmm.
changes.
Well, it's just weird from like in Matt Taibbi's case, I think, where he's writing this really important book and like covering these stories about social justice. And, he's sort of what makes him such a badass is that he's not afraid to speak out against things, injustices, right, that he sees and profiling them and finding them, presenting them as fact, right? So then to see him and in his name on a book where they're talking about, oh, I found out this Russian girl was 15 and not 16, and I definitely wanted to fuck her. Here's the thing, though. I feel like in this culture of like quick hit headlines, tweets, stuff gets lost. Is it satire? I still don't even know. I still can't even figure out if it's satire. And I'm like, if so, like, okay. I think that's sort of funny. It's not funny that they were asking their coworkers to give them blowjobs, but there is something funny about the fact that, like, oh, just imagine these like douchey white guys from America going to Russia and being super offensive and like.
Wasn't it funny if it like to me like that's the whole point. I mean
that's what they're like shining a light on.
But that's
people,
the whole
right?
point about when jokes are brought up to defense or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, was it a joke or was it not a joke? Because if it's a joke, it's funny. If it's not a joke, it's disturbing. It's literally that black and white. And so, yeah, to kind of be ambiguous about that kind of misses the. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I think is more important. And I think this comes up a lot because I think it's important, but I also like to bring it up a lot because you're you, and I'd be interested in your take on it. But, I just feel like this happens more and more.
Yeah, it
which is. Do you remember, like...
What do you mean? Like digging up
old...
I'm
getting into it. You remember when... this was maybe, like, in early 2000s, I want to say. That all the news coverage on, like, cable news, probably even some local... It was, like, the story of the summer was shark attacks in Florida. Like, there was a shark attack. There was some crazy shark attack. It got some news traction, and then there was like, I feel like I remember there being like a shark attack ticker, like just a little graphic in the corner, like 10 shark attacks so far this year in the U.S., and it was like ticking, and it was kind of like it was like pretty much lasted the whole summer, because that's like shark season, they kind of treated it then like hurricane season, like, well, we got another month of shark attack season, we're on 15 attacks, like and they kind of built it as like a summer plagued by shark attacks, and like anytime a new one happened, it was like big news. And then I just remember way more quietly than that happened, there was I remember seeing some story like a few months, once that was over, we're into the fall now and no one's really talking about it, they're on to something else, and kind of some scientist or something was just like, yeah, there's about the same number of shark attacks this summer as ever. There's always about 20. It's not a lot. It's not a big problem, but it happens. Yeah, there's people were talking about it this summer, but that's about normal. And like, I just think that that's the thing. When a story genre hits, there's just this fever. They chase that dragon for a little bit, squeeze all the juice out of it, and then move on. I remember a more contemporary version of this. I remember was with when that dude which we talked about on this podcast. That guy got beat up on United and dragged off the plane. And then I saw like 3 news stories in the following couple weeks about fights with flight attendants, fights between passengers, like all this. Fights on planes had to be landed, disturbance, like in a row. And it was funny because I remember the one was this guy like defending his wife, and then he got thrown off, and like they got in a fight with some. And then I just remember like I was like, oh, that's kind of like it's just. I mean, I'm even very fucking suspicious But I'm just like, oh, that's kind of like interesting. I wonder if there is like a, I take like a pause of like, I wonder if there is like, is this a problem like that we're noticing now that there's a lot of these problems. I don't know. I just then I look at the video and again they mention it like in the story, but way far down. Like it was from like 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they just kind of like, they kind of just underplay that they're like, well, like they basically like say in the last couple paragraphs, like this is from 3 years ago, but does this show was this where the trend started? Like, but they don't say that in the headline. They're just saying like part of a new trend of like fights on airplanes, and it's like, but they just know like, hey, people are talking about this Asian guy getting beat up. That's hot. Fights on airplanes is hot. Can we? And so my point is they'll dig up from old or anyone sneezes on a plane and they got cell phone footage, like that's worth for the next 7 to 10 days. That's worth $200,000. Get us that footage from your cell phone. We're going live with it right now. Like this, and so I think this kind of just like that crazy shark attack that was kind of interesting. I don't remember what reason, just because that kind of thing with that Asian guy brought up a lot of issues of like overbooking and like how much you can pay someone and what amount of force is required to be used and the difference between like police and security. Like it brought up real issues.
Yeah.
It was a real big story, but then and that's kind of why like Harvey Weinstein, one of the most powerful guys ever, clear sexual misconduct, clearly related to jobs too. So it throws in that harassment / money element and just all these people he's connected to, all this stuff. And you start there and that gets news heat. And now we've piddled down to some guy who's done mostly good things did a thing that is it bad? We don't know. 17 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
But
You're bringing
what's
it around.
hot?
Yeah.
But what's hot now?
It's not hot.
It's hot. But he fits the narrative of liberal guy because like that's what a lot of people brought up. I think that's a weaker part of the narrative. But like Harvey Weinstein, this liberal Hollywood guy, he's no Donald Trump. Like we're expecting this from Donald Trump, but this liberal Hollywood guy's doing it. So it's like, he's like a liberal lefty guy doing lady touching stuff, and it's been going on for years maybe. Like, to me, the thing that happened 18 years ago almost benefits the narrative of like, how long has this been happening? Why are we just now? It's just like, to me, it just fits the narrative, and they're like, perfect. We got our lefty touching story. And it's just hot business.
I think that what you're saying is there's reality and truth in it, but I just don't think that it's that vindictive or like sinister. Hold on.
I didn't say vindictive. I'm just saying like,
more sinister is more the word I meant. Like I don't think it's
capitalistic.
just. I just
it's
don't.
What's hot. It's the tickle me Elmo of news.
I don't think that's it though. I think that
tickle me Elmo.
Tickle me Elmo of news.
But everyone gets that reference. Everyone knows what I mean, except for young people. But they're not gonna like this podcast anyways.
They're not listening. No, I think there's a reality in, because I feel this as a woman where it's like I want to know if like I think it's important to acknowledge that this was said in a book that he wrote 20 years ago. But I don't think it's changing my opinion of him. But I do think there's something good about knowing, right? And like feeling like I have the facts about what, could that sway how he writes about a woman in political power, for example. I don't know. I'm not saying it would, but hey, hold on.
But I'm saying, has he ever?
I'm just saying I don't think it's exactly because it's hot news. Like, I mean, it is because I guess that book has been out and available for so long, right? But I think that there's a bigger conversation of like women are trying to figure out like where, where do we go from here? Really, like where do we go from here? Because it's like do we look at the mistakes people made in the past? And here's the thing that I struggle with personally is like I don't want to be an apologist. That's like the worst thing you can be, I guess, in this movement. But I think about Matt Taibbi and like that writing in a book that I don't know. I can't fucking tell if it's satire or not. I don't think that's as bad. I'm not gonna like totally stop reading his book. I'll get to that in just a second, but like I'm not gonna not read his book because he did this, especially when like it's nothing compared to like, oh no, he like drugged and raped women using his fame for 20 years. Hold on. Here's what I think is fucked up most about the feminist movement getting upset about shit like this. Matt Taibbi just wrote a book about basically a murder by the police that sparked the Black Lives Matter
A
movement.
science murder.
What?
Science
murder.
Science murder.
An alleged legal murder and well, it's not a murder in legality. Yeah, alleged no,
No, it's a science murder. You
Okay,
you got science murdered, bruh.
he a science murder by the New York police. I just feel like there is
That would be funny if every time like a cop shot someone, it's like, you just got science murdered, bruh.
science murdered, bro.
I ain't going to jail, but I for sure shot you dead.
There's so much internal struggle within me of like, where is there privilege involved in like white women tweeting and writing about Matt Taibbi's misogynistic writings from 20 years ago when like he wrote a book about murder by the police. I'm not saying you can't.
You don't have a question. You have a good point.
Hold on. I'm not. I don't think that there is those two can't live simultaneously, right?
Oh, they can. Yeah.
But I don't. They in the reader, the last line is like, well, he's gonna be here for Chicago Humanities Fest, and you can go ask him about this. It's like, fuck you. I'm not gonna fucking ask him about this. I want to talk about this abuse of power, from him being involved in these communities and seeing this and doing all this research. How can we help that? That's what makes me angry.
But that's
about
my
it.
point about news.
Especially because
let me just say this.
Yeah.
This is my point about news versus information and the importance of. To me, this is important news, meaning it's important to the news because guy in entertainment doing lady things is hot, and they want to get that on the front page. They want to get that on the centerfold as soon as possible. But as far as information, it's not. My point is, one of the biggest Hollywood in an era where entertainment is booming, right? There's new shows coming out all the time, new movies coming out all the time because of all the different mediums. Someone in control of major parts of a booming more than ever industry being creepy on a regular, frequent basis, like that's important in part to the community at large, but especially the female community.
Yeah.
George H.W. Bush touching a couple butts is not important information, though. I'm just saying, like, you're not saving lives and psyches. You're reporting on it because that's the same thing. Like, and again, that's the middle. Okay. It goes Weinstein and then Bush lower, and then this is the lowest, which is, would you let your daughter go out with Matt Taibbi? Probably. Like, he wrote gross things 18 years ago, so that could even just be, let's say it was gross, it was nonfiction, was whatever. Maybe he's just like, I'm 20, I'm sorry, that was shitty. Well, and then all he's done after that is be nice to disenfranchised groups.
Well, we don't know that. He could have been.
Maybe, but that's my point is, like, is it news or information? To me, it doesn't seem like, to me, like, again, to me, it's only worth this kind of attention. To me, it just speaks unto itself, where they're saying, if you have questions, ask him about it. To me, for this level of coverage, the conclusion should be, if you believe this, do not go there because he might assault you. Like, isn't that what we'd say about Weinstein or Cosby? Like, the people that are real information and not just news, just like, don't hang around them. They are predators. Whereas, like, this guy just did like a dick thing at some point. Like,
Harvey and Bill Cosby, it was like, take away their power. They should not have this power.
Because it's dangerous for them to have. He has, no power. He's a famous writer. You know that means nothing. What power is he wielding? He wielded maybe power over direct people he was directly working with when in Russia. Maybe, if it wasn't satire. What?
I think it's part of this, like Lena Dunham wrote an article about in the Times saying men need to take ownership of this too. It's you too, right? Like, we want you to talk about how you might have hurt another woman. I don't necessarily like that language. I'm not pro, like, self-flagellation for the movement, right? Like, it's more just, I do think there's power in sharing our stories and saying, you guys, you don't have to admit anything. I just want you to fucking listen. Just listen and, like, think about, you don't need to come up here and tell me about your sins so we can all be like, okay, now you're feminist approved. Get on back out there, man. Like, fuck that. But listen to me, listen to it, right? And like, I think that's what they're trying to do with this is like, Matt Taibbi, that was fucked up, and like, you're writing about all these social justice things, but you clearly didn't think about females 20 years ago.
But
I don't. I think that they're crossing too far. I'm in the camp
but
that says
isn't
that's
it
too
just
much.
kind
But
of like, I think that's the weird thing about, you know, uh, like I get it. Like I get when like the women's march is criticized for seeming less inclusive of women of color than white women. You know, like the idea of white women feminism. Like I think that's
yeah, it's
that's an
real.
important
Yeah.
critique.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there is that thing of like, you know, I recycle, but I own an iPhone. You know, I bank with a credit union, but I eat, you know, factory farm meat. Like what? Like we all try. Well, good people
Yeah.
at least try.
Yeah.
And kind of that's the thing. It's like now a pass. No one gets a pass, but do you need a guy focused on the rights of minority men? Do you need him to be like the epitome of social justice mindedness for women? I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm saying, but do you need that? Or can he just be the guy that's like, I'm a little gross, but I'm trying to help too. Like I
Well,
own an iPhone and I recycle. Like I know like the world
I
is too
know, but
big for me to solve everything, but I'm trying to solve something on a national
and
platform,
instead of
and
talking
that's
about it,
more
we're
than
talking
most
about
people. That's
this.
more than almost every person, right? So
You
that
know,
doesn't
and
give you a pass.
he did apologize in a sense where he said, I mean, I don't know exactly what he tweeted, but he said, I'm embarrassed that I wrote that 20 years ago. I'm sorry for anyone it hurt. It was satire. I'm, you know, he did talk about it. Like, I wish
If he
though,
said it's
I
satire, it
I
seems
know.
like end of
Hold on,
story.
I know. No, they said in the forward this is all nonfiction. But then again, I think of it like a writer and as an artist, where you know Michael Chabon just wrote an amazing book that he called a memoir, but it's fiction. Like that's the
I'll
whole
say,
play on
isn't
it.
that?
That's the whole play is like, hey,
Well,
what is truth today?
I don't know who the
Like
fuck
that's
that guy is because I'm not a nerd, but like
uh,
I do think like I would just say like hasn't that been used before though, like multiple times of like satire being like this is for sure true, and then maybe like 5 years later people are like nah, it was not true, but like we wanted the impact of you thinking it's true, like good satire. I mean, people satire is like a real thing now, so it's almost harder to hit you with it. But back Modest Proposal, I feel like that hit so hard because it was like a new form.
yeah.
So people didn't have the mind to know it was making a point, so they're just like, this guy's fucking nuts.
It's like
So now you almost have to kind of use those literary tricks of just being like, it's true, and then like once it makes its effect, be like, it's not true. I mean, we thought here's like an entertainment version. Like they played the Blair Witch Project as true found footage for like most of its like it was like out in theaters for about a month before like it was pretty widely leaked. Like now it was a movie, but like you know that's kind of what you got to do.
I think it's more
you know,
yeah, and the like these mobs coming after him, like Rolling Stone should fire him. He should never have another book published. And it's like,
I guess my point.
this reminds me of the millennial version of like seeing these tweets at about this, and it reminds me of when you see your parents reacting to an Onion headline, like what the this world's gonna
Well, like I said, it reminds me
blow up.
exactly. I use this comparison all the time, and it's just funny because people on the left will not hear it, but it's like, dude, it's exactly the same. It's exactly right to family, family first groups and all those, family first. What are all those shitty groups? Family, home and family connected groups, like all those big which are just it's Christian, but we can't say that because then people might not like us. But like, just these family first groups, just mass letter writing campaigns saying like you got to take The Simpsons off the air.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's that same thing. It's like, why? Because you don't like it?
Yeah.
You know, like if he hasn't committed a crime or some sort of like egregious,
Well,
like
they're
I
like,
don't
maybe he did.
like I don't know if Weinstein did a crime. I don't know if sexual harassment is like a crime or if it's like a punitive thing, but he did something like lawfully wrong. Uh, Like if he's just a dick, I don't know. That's the same thing to me as like I don't like The Simpsons because that's all you're really saying is like I didn't like his book.
Do you know what I would love to see? What I would love to
It's
see
like okay, well
happen
don't read it.
is
Isn't that what we told the Christians when they hated The Simpsons? Don't watch it. Don't read his book.
yeah, but they didn't.
See, you're falling in that same trap. It's the
No,
same.
I'm not falling in any trap, Justin.
You're falling in
I'm
any
not
trap.
taking your word for it. Do not say when I disagree with your opinion that
All
I'm
right,
falling in a
we're
trap.
going too long though.
What
I'll
I
give you
would
the
hold
last
on.
word
What
though.
no,
I'll give you the last
yeah.
word.
What I would love to see happen is I think Matt Taibbi's super smart and like I don't know what happened. But I think that he has a powerful voice and a powerful platform where he could write about this. Like if you really are embarrassed by what you wrote about 20 years ago, I'd love a piece on like how much our culture has changed in as far as the effect feminism has had on it. The effect of commodification of feminism has had on culturally boys of that age and young men of that age in the past 20 years. That'd be so fucking
But
interesting.
also, like, I love a piece like, let's say this was satire, which my whole point
Also,
about
I
like
would love the police to stop killing black people.
that's more important. Let's be honest, that is first. Like my point is like I'm believing it's satire because he said it's satire.
I mean, I don't actually. You know what? I don't know if he tweeted that or not.
Okay,
Like, I feel.
God damn
I
it,
feel
fake
like,
news, fake
I
news.
know. I'm sorry.
We need like a sound effect. Woo woo, fake news, fake news. You're the see and. Ladies
think
and
that
gentlemen,
maybe
this is what I'm
marketing-
saying. She used to get that camera back on me. Come on, it's on you right now. Get it back to me. This is fake news. Jackie Manti, right here. Fake news. This is the media. She used to work in the media. This is what they do.
No, listen.
They
If it
make
were
up
fake,
tweets.
fuck you. If it were fake
Fuck
news,
yeah. Fuck
if
yeah.
you were fake news, if that was fake news, I would never have admitted. I would have been like,
This
he
is
said
the
it's
media. This is
satire.
the media at work. She used to work for the media and she sold out. Hey, real quick. I'm just saying my whole point is if you're doing satire about women being mistreated in the workplace, as is the definition of satire, wouldn't you be trying to bring light to the idea that there is harassment in the workplace? Meaning, wouldn't you be bring to light the cause that you're being said you're against 18 years before it was mainstream news? Like, wouldn't you be the ultimate good guy?
What? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, if it's satire is supposed to be like when the Onion writes, like that headline, like nothing to do about gun violence says only country where this happens. Like they have that famous headline. Like you're writing a thing about there's nothing we can do, and the joke is there's something we can do. That's what satire is. It's the opposite. So my point is, if he does a thing where he's like, look at us touching women and being douches, it's satire. Wouldn't the point of the satire be, hey, it's fucked up when people do this? Meaning, he's actually defending harassment against women 18 years before you even knew it was happening, or well, I don't because women I knew because I'm saying like before it was big news, he was defending it. Doesn't that make him, in fact, the ultimate good guy? If it's satire, not only is this bad news, it's literally opposite news. It's literally wrong. It's reverse. It's the opposite. Like that's what's infuriating. Like
He did say it was satire.
then it's wrong news. It's not fake. It's opposite news. It's opposite,
It's opposite news.
But right? I mean, if it's satire,
I mean, yeah.
satire means the
Justin,
opposite. Like
some of these satire. Okay.
it means the opposite.
Here's what's upsetting: is these stories that they're saying are satire are really fucking offensive and like sick.
They're supposed to be.
Hold on.
but it's
yes, I know that Justin. I fucking get satire, and I get what you're saying about opposite day. But like,
but it seems like people don't get it when they say that. Like I know that's my point. That would literally.
You didn't even hear the end of my sentence. You don't even know
I don't want to know. I just don't, because my point is that it's literally like reading a modest proposal and being like, I know it's satire and I know the point he's trying to make, but eating children is gross. And it's like, it's supposed to be fucking gross. Like, what is the point? There's no point to be made. Make your point, though. I told you I'd give you last word.
Make my point now.
I know you don't want to make it to me, but don't deprive the audience of your point because I'm a douche.
You are a douche.
Make your point, we'll move on.
I think what's interesting to me in this is that the stories are so offensive and like would never. I think that's what has changed in the past 20 years. Those stories would never. It hasn't even been 20 years, but well, yeah, 17.
19 or say 18? 18. 99.
Okay, listen. That I think that is like evidence of how much has changed. If that was supposed to be satire, you would never like think to like I don't think to like write things that vile because it happens and like we're more aware of how frequently statutory rape, sexual harassment happens.
But my point is, if we know that that happens now and you want to write satire about it, you'd have to then go more gross. I mean, that's what satire is. Like, you're blowing it up to
True.
make a point.
Okay.
So my point is, if your point is, well, today people would take it as true because that happens, well, then you'd have to go more gross.
No, that's not what I said.
All right, let's just move on.
Yeah.
I'm right. We'll just move on.
I'm right.
Topic 2. You ready for it, Boo?
Yes.
All right. You're just all fucking hammered off that kombucha. That's why you're getting all angry.
I'm punchy drunk.
You haven't drank in a while. You get drunk off that 0.1%.
It's not.
Yeah, you're hammered, bro. That's why you're getting mean. I told. This is why you had to stop. You get fucking angry. All right, so.
No, I got angry when you're like, I'm not even gonna listen to your point. Like that's not helpful.
Because you speak on behalf of like the worst. Not in general. I'm sorry, but on that one thing, just like the worst part of
you didn't even hear what I was gonna
society.
say.
Because that part of society I don't need to listen to
I
anymore.
just said that.
I don't.
I just said I think that it's indicative of how much has changed in the 17 years.
That doesn't matter.
Even of like
all
pop,
right, I got to do my
culture.
robot topic. It's time for Justin's robot corner. Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, 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 boop. Justin's robot corner. Oh, I got that whiskey in me. She's got that booch in her. She's all booched up.
1%.
All right, so headline: Walmart is deploying in-store autonomous robots in over 50 locations. So I guess they have 3,500 U.S. locations. So these are only going in 50. So your chance of seeing one is low. But basically, what these robots do right now is they kind of just go through the store like a little Roomba, and they just kind of scan the shelves. So they can kind of they're mostly just kind of like seeing what's in stock, what needs more stock, what locations have what to kind of help with online ordering and store pickup and stuff. So they're not really like, I think when people read a headline, like they're like you could go up to it and be like, robot, where is the vitamin C? And they'd be like, it is in aisle 15. I will walk you there. Like
it isn't Justin's robot corner.
Yeah, it's just it's pretty low. It's pretty just like an organizational tool that's all like automatized. I don't know. Who cares? You get it. So I don't know. But I do think this is a good jump off to the larger point that has been brought up before, but I don't know if we've talked about it in depth. It's probably been brought up tangentially through other topics where I like to tangent and rant.
Yeah, you have a great joke on American Apathy about robots.
Oh, good plug.
Yeah. lo-class.com. You can watch it for free, guys.
So something is coming for your jobs.
Yeah.
And they're little and hardworking, and they're not Mexicans. They are robots. So, I mean, it's just true. I mean, this thing's going to start stocking shelves in 10 years. They're going to start driving trucks in 10 years. Like, there's things that, like, robots are already forecasted to do that undermine major swaths of the working public. What is the, like...
solution?
I guess that's kind of
bring
like...
back coal. No,
drill, baby, drill!
Drill, baby, drill. We had a solution. Green jobs, right? Sustainability. Making an energy, turning our focus on that. No?
Anything we can get them to do stuff. You know what I mean? Like...
oh, you mean like robots would do the green jobs too?
I guess my point is, when you talk about a Mexican doing your job, not only is it racist, but it posits an argument that someone that is the same as you is getting what you should get. So there's some sort of like equalized competition, or okay, he's taking my job, so just create more jobs, i.e. make another job like that, I'll do that job next to him. But the fact is just your jobs, if you do these things, are literally disappearing. They're not going, because to me, a robot's not taking your job. He's making your job not a job.
Obsolete.
It's just not a job.
What about
so my
like
point
the scanners? Did that do that?
You mean like the self-scannings?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that is like, I'm sure there's probably less cashiers because of that.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Anyway, sorry.
I don't know. I just what can we do? I guess
We're not gonna like solve it.
yeah. I mean, we're definitely not, but and not in 10 minutes. But like, yeah. I guess just what do you think about like what?
Yeah.
How do you see us integrating with robots while
Sure.
getting these fucking Luddites something to do so they don't riot?
Yeah, that's interesting you bring up the Luddites because it is, I mean, in every industrial revolution, we face this problem where it's like, no, don't do that. You're taking away jobs from the weavers to the
To the
to
slaves.
even just to having women
You gotta
welding and like
acknowledge
making
when I make a joke, or it just sounds like a Matt
you make a
Taibbi
slave
nonfiction.
joke.
But then it sounds like a nonfiction, and we just got banned.
Well, we're banned. Justin's fired from
You have to make it clear.
his life.
You can't just let me make a slave joke and just
Well,
pass
that's-
through it like I'm just tacking on points.
All right, ha ha. So there's always been this fear, right, of technology, and that it's taking work, and I think that's fair. Like
It's true.
I felt like the election in 2016, what I thought was really offensive and part of why Donald Trump won was this sense of superiority about that fear, right? That I think a lot of people in the cities have, where our jobs are, and not all of us, but like, I mean, my job is content writing on the internet. That could go away soon enough, but like, I'm pretty
100% it will.
but I'm secure for at least 10 years. Do you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, I'm okay, and I'm making a lot of money doing that. So
Hey, at least you're not in newsprint anymore.
right. But so I was for a while, and
Right.
I recognized that fear, like that pit or that feeling in the pit of your stomach, and there's layoffs. You're afraid every day that like you're gonna get fired, and like what do you fucking do? Because that's all my experience was. I really understand that fear, and I think that even I was reading the Wikipedia just to like get my just refresher on the Luddites, and like there's so many sentences in there where someone has like clearly gone in and tried to like just defend them. Like they weren't totally against the technology. It's just like that's how that's the only way they could get the attention of the people in charge was to break their equipment. But like really it was about the people. It's funny. But so my reaction though is like I have faith in technology. I'm
It's the best.
so progressive.
It's the only way forward.
And I mean, it really is like your joke, where I just think your joke is so funny because it's like, yeah, I mean, if they take our jobs, maybe then we don't have to work.
Well, and that's my point is, I mean, we're talking even next, I mean, as great as technology is, as much as it's moving exponentially, I mean, there's a lot of things it's not going to be able to do for like, I was going to say like 100 years, but let's say like another generation. Let's say like we have kids, those kids get old and die. That'll be about when we're getting like upper level human job function from robots. But they're going to be doing like a lot of kind of, X's and O's tasks.
Yeah.
Through
That's
and
like
so
what
let me
our
just finish.
computer does.
But let me finish. And so my point is if you're doing a job, now I think truck driving is the most like, it's kind of a lot of money. Like that's a decent living.
Yeah.
But besides that, these stock shelvings, these, taking, people say that like if we raise the minimum wage, they're going to get rid of people at McDonald's. You're just going to put in your order in a computer. It's like, I don't care what the fucking minimum wage is. That's happening soon. You know what I mean? They already do that at fucking Sheets. All my Sheets lovers out there.
Sheets, yes.
So, but my point is, so it's like, if you work a job that's going to be replaced by a robot, I would say 75% of you, 3 out of the 4 of you, what job are you losing? A pretty dog shit one. So, not only would I gather about you that you're kind of dog shit, meaning you don't have a lot of ambition, but I'd also gather,
That's not always the case.
it's mostly the case, but I'd also gather what is your nut? If you've been stocking shelves and you're stocking shelves now, and you think you'll be stocking shelves in 5 years when the robot is ready to stock shelves, your ambition is low. And what's your nut? If you have
What do you mean
done,
by nut?
meaning like you did that job, you still do that job, you plan on doing that job. What do you require to live on? It's clearly your nut for living is low, because you're not sitting there like, I need to start making more money or I'm not going to be able to afford this, that, and this. You're pretty much like, I'm going to do this for the next 20 years and pretty much like live the life I want. You know, I probably live in a bad neighborhood, in a shitty apartment. I probably eat a lot of cereal. You know, I don't really need to travel or do anything extravagant. And you don't mind it. You're low ambition, you're low need, and that's what. So my point is,
you got a peanut.
So my point is, to me, the idea that the government can't help is silly because it's like, what do we have to replace? You know, we have to replace like, you know, a few $100,000, $20,000 a year jobs. Just cut them a check and tell them to stay home. You know what I mean? Like universal basic income. I mean, that's what it is. It's like, hey, a robot took your job. Hey, it's America. It's capitalism. It's democracy. It's all those great things. Go out and invent the new, go out and invent the new mousetrap. Go ahead, go back to school. Work your ass off at a blue collar job. Start learning how to hang sheetrock, right? Floods hit every year. The idea that there doesn't need to be blue collar work is crazy. Anytime there's a natural disaster, you're busy for 3 years. And then what happens in 3 years? Another one's going to hit. You might have to move around, but you can make a decent, really decent living. Blue collar, white collar, whatever fucking collar you want to wear, you can make money. But if you don't, then stay home, shut up, and just take this $20,000 because don't act like you were making more than that stocking shelves, and don't act like getting rid of that stock shelving job is somehow eliminating some step you were about to jump off of to like owner of a fucking Walmart. It wasn't. Like that was so I think it's universal basic income or some sort of just more welfare. It's so funny to me. Oh, fucking poor white people. They stink. Oh, they're such a scourge. Because that's the whole point is it's like they think they're not what they are. And to me, I just always laughed because if you're poor and you go, I'm poor. I'm so poor that like eating food is tough. And then the government goes, here's a voucher you can only use for food. Keep in mind, you can only use this for food, but you could use it for food, and then you could at least have some food. That's all we're going to intervene in your life. We're going to give you some vouchers to get food. I mean, can you meet a poor, uneducated white person that doesn't think that is the ultimate crime against his taxpayer dollars? But what does he want? But then when they want to use taxpayer dollars to give businesses, money and tax cuts and bailouts and all that shit, they fucking bend over, open up their little butt cheeks and go, stick it in. Why? Well, it creates jobs. Gotta create jobs. And it's like, so what is more disgustingly lazy, welfare-ish attitude? To want a fucking sandwich, which is just a transaction. Here's a voucher, get your sandwich. It's you want the government to create you a job? You don't want to create new skills yourself. You don't want to create new opportunities yourself. You don't want to move where there's new jobs yourself. You don't want to uproot. You don't want to change your lifestyle. You want the government to intervene to create. Do you know what goes into a job? It's a business. And then that business has to succeed. And then they have to organize everything into that business so that that business can sustain. And then there's a position available now because of their growth. And you're like, yes, thank you. I would like you to facilitate that happening. So I may just, not move to a different state, not change the thing that I learned to do 20 years ago. I just want to kind of, create that for me and I'll fill in. But I'm not entitled. You know who's entitled? Black people who need sandwiches. Yeah. They're entitled. Yeah. I'm worthless. I'm the scourge of this country, but I fail to realize that. Where's my red hat with white letters? I'm a fucking patriot. Stand up during the pledge. I stink.
No, I do think that the disassociation with the word entitled is so interesting, right? Like when that was a really good rant. And
create me a job.
Yeah.
How infuriating is that? Create yourself a job.
There was like all those stories earlier this year, I think, as the media is like trying to cover the people who voted for Trump, and there was like a town in West Virginia that's like in the mountains basically, and like they're all on poverty or they're all on welfare. Like they're all
Most of
just
them are all on
below.
disability now.
And yeah,
That's like the
and
new
it's just
universal basic
so
income.
ironic because they're like, well, I don't want to leave. Like this is where my family, generations of my family have lived, and like,
You mean
you know, maybe
generation of mountain losers?
no, hold on, and like fuck. For like I get that human experience of not wanting to leave where you've got. What makes me angry though is like you're supporting a man who and like I don't know all of their beliefs, right? But like, yeah, like you said, that is the most entitled way to act. Of like, no, you need to move and find work. So you
Well, I
have a
decided
job.
I want to do this thing, and now it's harder for me to do. And if I can't do exactly that same thing in exactly the same space for the same amount of money, fuck this country. It is let me go. And it's like, to me, you know what a low income white person is. This is a microcosm. This is, I think, how they act so much of the time. They would go around. They would drive around their neighborhood on a snowy day. It just snowed. They drive around their neighborhood and they go like, man, it snowed 4 hours ago, and look at it's like 75% of these driveways aren't shoveled yet. I don't know if it's like old people. Maybe people are plow out. They get a Jeep and they just plow through it and they're like, I'll just shovel it a couple days later. I don't know. But 75% of these driveways aren't, they're not shoveled for some reason. You know what would be awesome? If someone started a snow removal service and hired me. That would be awesome.
Mhm.
When it's like, why don't you just start a snow removal? We need someone that can create jobs. Create a job. Like, if you think that this country is so ripe for new companies, so much so that those companies can just have booms of hiring, start a new company. Like, it's not hard. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, to me, even Democrat stuff, like, all right, well, we need to invest in clean energy. Why not just find out how to install solar panels on a single house? Do it to your house as a proof of concept, and then drive around just your neighborhood and be like, hey, I'll install solar panels on your house. It'll cost you this much. This is how much you'll save. Would you want me to do it? Like, you can't make a small enough business doing that at least sustains your family. And that's my point. But you don't want that. You want the president to give fucking GE money to get into the solar panel business, and then you want to petition your governor to give them tax breaks to open up a branch in your town so you can get a job working for them. That's what you want to do. And you're not entitled. You want a job created for you. But my point is, if you think there are jobs to be created, that means there is opportunity. You're admitting there's opportunity if you think there are jobs to be created for you. But you demand that the government and private business work together to create you a job as opposed to starting anything of your own.
Yeah.
And you want a black person to feel bad because he got a free sandwich. That's your life. That's how you vote. That's the Jesus you pray to. You're fucking stupid. And that's why I'm like, if a robot can take your job, you're I don't know if you're ignorant or evil, but I know that there's some stew of those two things brewing inside your crock pot of a brain, and it's ruining this country. And I pray that there's enough opioids in this country to wipe out a large swath of these people. Every time I hear about opioids ripping through Indiana, all I hear I just see is the collective IQ of this country just ticking up.
Jesus Christ.
I just see fucking what do you call that? What's the fucking money one? The fucking GDP. Click 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 click.
No.
Click 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 click. Opioids ravage Indiana. Click 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 click.
Stop it.
Oh.
Not all overdoses. Hashtag.
Yeah, but sometimes wildfires also clear out dead brush.
I do think
they don't just burn down homes.
No, I do not agree with that. But funny joke. I think the opioid thing is just. I mean, other people have talked about this, but like I've always just been struck by it, just personally, just experiencing like the way I've heard people talk about the crack epidemic in the 80s on the streets. In communities of color, right? And like those are animals. They are fucking criminals, and fuck them and kill them all, put them in the jails. And now now it's like now that it's white people dying from the opioid crisis.
And you
it's
know
like
what's fucking funny is
rehabilitation.
you know what's fucking so
Whites
funny?
need
You know
help.
what's so fucking funny too is the government, the CIA, sold those neighborhoods cocaine so they could they just ravage these communities by selling
Yeah.
them drugs, and then they use that money to buy weapons illegally, to murder and infiltrate other brown countries in Central and South America. Just evil, evil, evil dog shit that no one gives a shit about because it affects people of color here and people of color abroad. But why are white communities mostly ravaged by opioid deaths? Because of drug companies. Why do those drug companies have the ability?
Capitalism.
But why do they have the ability specifically to do the evil shit they do? Because you vote. Now, I agree wholly that both Democrats and Republicans take money from pharmaceutical and insurance lobbies. But who is clearly
voting for no regulation?
Yes.
Republicans.
And who are you voting for? So that's my point is your son dying of an OxyContin overdose is your fault for voting Republican in the 80s. It's just coming back to bite you, and I really don't give a shit that he died because I just see the GDT click, 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 click.
I give a shit that he died.
How many A students out there are dying of opioid overdoses? And I know
there are some.
There are
Justin.
some. There's always some. There's always some, but not many. You say some. Would you say many? You wouldn't use the word many. You'd stick with some, and you'd be right. You'd be right. It's some.
All right.
It's always some.
Let's go on. Topic 3. So more science. I was inspired by your topic 3 last week of the bugs and stuff. I thought that was really cool. So I love Scientific American, the magazine. Do you read? Oh, no, you don't read that. But
you could just stop at read. Do you read? I do not read.
I do not read.
Can you read? I cannot read.
I love them on Twitter, and they always have cool stories. And there was one about shrews. Have you heard of a shrew? You seen this? You heard this?
I do not know what a shrew is. Besides, like the animal?
Yeah, they're like like littler than mice, I think. But it's been
a common insult for a lady.
A shrew. We must tame her. Good one. See, you read, or at least you know Shakespearean titles.
I know titles. I'm a titles boy.
So they proved that shrews' skulls will shrink. Like the bone will shrink.
Just like a woman.
Fuck you. Oh, you were super quick on that. They'll shrink in the winter to save energy. By like making themselves smaller, they save energy and they stay warmer. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
so cool.
That's cool.
So, just my question, because it's fucking freezing out, and I know you're such a sun baby. You hate the cold. Like, I feel like your whole
when you say sun baby, it almost sounds like a slur.
No, I mean it lovingly.
These fucking sun babies taking our jobs.
No, sun babies don't want jobs. Sun babies just sit on the beach.
You know, my mom was so mad when I told her I was going to marry a sun baby.
Well, I don't know if my parents would like it. Why? He's a sun baby.
I can call him that. He said I can say it.
No, it's totally cool. I have like one sun baby friend. I'm allowed to. Are there any evolutionary things that you wish you had inherited as a human?
Yeah, you know what I was you know what I think would be so fucking tight for this human race?
I don't know if I want to know.
I think Hitler started a speech that way.
No.
You know what would be tight for the human race, guys? No, it's related to science and animals and stuff. I'm off the rant. We're on the fun topic, baby. So I think, dude, fucking hibernation. Let's just sleep through this shit.
That was
right?
my pick too.
Oh, well, was it?
Well,
yeah.
duh. I mean, like, I don't know what else.
I didn't know if it was
or like fur or something. It's like kind of a cool coat.
I guess did you say? Oh yeah, you did say a winter evolutionary thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
That's totally cool.
I guess it's cool that we picked the same thing.
No, just because I'm like a nap fan. You take a lot of naps.
I'm more just like I just don't want to experience it. How awesome would it be though?
Would you rather live somewhere warm or hibernate?
I'd rather fucking hibernate.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
There's so much life to live.
Yeah, but that's kind of why I think of hibernation because I'm like, it's just funny because we do less in the winter. But what's
we do kind of hibernate and we like.
But what's the one thing we can't do? We can't
forever.
Not go to work. You know, like we can't like work. You don't work less in the winter. Like all the things that you hate, you still have to leave the house and brave the elements for. But then, like when you're like, oh, should we go out and grab some drinks or whatever? Like I don't know, it's so cold. Let's just stay in. So it's like that's why I'm like, dude, how awesome would it be if just like the whole country got together and be like, all right,
Everybody stop.
like, all right, you can't go to a restaurant for 2 months. You can't go to the grocery store for 2 months. Like everything's closed, but in return, you don't have to do your thing either. We're all shutting down, so there's pros and cons. Like you got to kind of just stock up and take care of yourself for 2 months, but in return, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do for 2 months. Everyone's off work. It's almost like The Purge, but like more fun.
With less murder and rape. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's more murder or more rape during The Purge?
Rape.
I think there'd be just more murder.
Well, murder because more murder.
I think about 10.
It's not like you can murder any other time, but you can fuck.
I would gauge about
right?
10% of the population at any given time is capable of rape. I think we're all capable of murder.
Yeah, that's a good
point. So
point.
I think there's way more murder.
That's interesting.
Yeah. You've probably never thought about rape, have you?
Of raping someone?
Yeah.
No.
But you could probably murder someone. Even the pause just shows you're a human. Don't feel bad about it.
No. I'm just thinking.
You got that lizard in you. Everyone does.
I have raged really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, the people I've wanted to murder have raped me.
Still had the murder in you. You didn't say, well, I think it'd be great if they got some treatment and we rehabilitated them. You're like, let's just murder this fucking fucker.
Or like if you're raped on The Purge and then you murder your rapist violently.
Yeah. Oh, see, you even threw in violently.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
You wouldn't want to just like needle, like
no.
sodium benzicol or whatever it is they use in lethal injections?
Time.
How detailed have you thought of this murder?
I haven't. Just now.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, and you know what I've been thinking about is I changed my answer. I want a fur coat. I want a girl fur.
You just want to pivot off the murder stuff?
Yeah.
All right, last thing I'll say because it's like a funny tag. But there's that thing. It's in Oh My God, that special. Louis C.K. has that joke. It's like a tag on another joke, but he just says like, if murder were legal, like you would think it was weird if someone didn't murder. Like if someone was like, oh, I don't murder, you'd be like, oh, gross. What a weirdo.
I don't think I would murder though.
If it was legal. I mean, okay, but it's a joke. That's a funny joke.
It's a funny joke. You're right. Also, Louis C.K., another one.
Who, what?
Does he sexually harass people?
Oh, you gotta make that a whole topic if you want to talk about it. I'm
right,
not saying we can't. Oh, you mean like you want one on your body?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't mean like, I mean like if I grew fur, like I want to grow a fur coat to be warm.
So you just want fur.
I want to be animal people.
I like my ladies hairless. No, I wouldn't like it.
Not totally hairless. Okay.
Enough.
All right. Well, let's.
All the lickable areas.
Thanks for listening, guys. You can go to lowclass.com, lo-class.com to see more of our content and check out FemComPod.com.
Because we pay for it.
Yeah. We pay for it. We need to promote it. And you can find all 45 of our other episodes on there where we talk about cool stuff.
What?
Justin, what you got going on?
JustinGolek.com. Upcoming shows in November. And that's just always a good place to stop. Go to lowclass.com. Watch the new special if you haven't. It's on Spotify,
Lots
Google
of robot jokes.
The audio version's like everywhere you listen to fucking music. So Google, Spotify, like
that's awesome.
iTunes, like so. If you pay for a streaming service, you can just stream it for free. It's on Bandcamp for free too if you use that app. American Apathy. And but yeah, the video version.
Can I search for you or American Apathy or both?
Both.
Okay.
The video version is up on Low Class, and then add Justin Golek. Sorry, little hiccups. Add Justin Golek on Twitter and Justin@JustinGolek.com. Send me them dick pics.
Nice. And I've been Jackie Manti, JackieManti.com. Lots of cool stuff coming up this week. Some stuff for NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. And I got some good stuff at
You said that to me earlier today.
I know,
I knew what that was. Stupid. No.
NaNoWriMo. You heard of it? But some good stuff on there. You can follow me on Twitter at Jackie_Manti and message me at Jackie@JackieManti.com. All right, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Send her those tit pics.
Tit pics.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.